Here.
Councilperson Kashamba Miller Anderson.
Present.
Councilperson Julia Botel.
Here.
Councilperson Terrence Davis.
Here.
City Manager Karen Hoskins.
Here.
City Clerk Claudine Anthony is present. City Attorney Don Nguyen. You may proceed.
We'll stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the Mayor.
Father, we ask your blessings upon our meeting tonight as we deliberate, take care of the city business, that we would do your will, betterment of mankind and our residents and all surrounding areas and people. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the public shall be given a total of 3 minutes to speak on all items listed on the consent agenda. Any person who would like to speak on consent agenda items, please fill out a public comment card located on the table directly outside of the council chambers and give it to the staff prior to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
Madam Chair.
Madam Manager.
Madam Chair, I have the following additions. Community benefits on consent. Item number 1A, addition for the Reentry Center of Riviera Beach, $350, Councilman Terrence Davis to support the Restore Our Voice Amendment 4 Voters Registration Drive and Family Day event. Item number 1B on consent, community benefits. For Riviera Beach Parks and Recreation, $300 from Chair Pro Tem Lynn L. Hubbard to support the senior activities at Lindsay Davis Community Center. Under awards and presentations, addition, item number 4A, a presentation from Bernstein and Associates. And under discussion and deliberation, I would like to delete item number 6. Discussion and deliberation to remove code enforcement liens from property located at 801 West 1st Street for property to be sold to a first-time home buyer. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have 2 items in particular for tonight I would like to have added. One is digital signs, discussions, deliberation for digital signs for churches. And another one, the second one's going to be from our office, the presentation on the OIG report. And if I may, the digital signs, when the group that's here tonight, it's going to be very brief. If I could have the support of the council to take that earlier, because they have a times. They didn't realize that the closed executive session was going to run us this late, to where we can possibly find a way to get them in and out on the agenda. Maybe like before awards and presentation, could we just at least hear that issue? Probably take about 2 minutes.
Well, in looking at the agenda, we just have 3 regular, 2, 1. Well, these are all awards and presentations. I think that we should be able to move through what we have scheduled on the agenda and get to them. These are just awards and presentations. We have a presentation by the Justice Service Center.
Okay.
Councilwoman Miller Anderson.
So after presentations? Okay. All right.
I wanted to add a community benefits for John F. Kennedy Middle School to help offset cost of equipment, supplies, and uniforms for the girls softball for $500.
Madam Clerk, that would be 1C.
Yes, Madam Chair.
I would like to add 1D, 1E, and 1F. community benefits as follows. I'd like to do an interdepartmental community benefits allocation to Parks and Recreation in the amount of $750 for the Lady Chargers basketball team. Palm Beach Gardens Community High School Project Graduation 2019 in the amount of $200. That would be 1E. And 1F, the Riviera Beach Reentry Center Restore Your Voice event in the amount of $500 to the Reentry Program Resource Center.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Davis.
thank you for reminding me. Parks and Rec, I have $1,000 I want to do inter-office contribution to for the Riviera Beach Heat semi-pro basketball team, women's semi-pro team. It was $1,000 for the registration.
Are there any additional additions, deletions, or substitution from council? Are there any disclosures? Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment cards? Oh, that's on the agenda. I'm sorry.
Correct, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry. Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Davis.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Pro Tem Hubbard.
Yes.
Chair Davis Johnson.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
All matters listed under this item are considered to be routine, and action will be taken by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a councilperson so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Are there any items to be pulled?
No.
Alrighty. Do we have any?
Madam Chair, we do have public comment card for the consent agenda. The acceptance of public comment cards for the consent agenda is now closed.
Okay. And is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second. Madam Clerk, comment cards.
Fane Losman.
Fane Losman, Singer Island. I've talked over the years that any of the community benefits that are doled out should be on behalf of the city of Riviera Beach. They should not be made in anybody's individual name. One of the things I did notice is today, Lynn Hubbard and some other council persons, their contributions were at least to entities in Riviera Beach. Why is Tanya Davis Johnson donating money to Palm Beach Gardens High School? I think that's number 1E. Palm Beach Gardens,
Palm Beach Gardens High School.
is that in Riviera Beach?
It is not in Riviera Beach. However, there are students that live in Riviera Beach that attend that school.
There's students that attend schools all around Palm Beach County. Money from Riviera Beach has to be designated to entities based in Riviera Beach. You
Madam
certainly cannot go ahead and fund programs in schools outside of the city of Riviera Beach. That's not what the community benefits package is all about. So I have a major problem with funds, and this started before you guys were up there. The whole idea is that the taxpayers spent $2.199 million more to have Waste Management provide waste services in exchange for a little slush fund that went to Cedric Thomas and his old buddies that were on the council. So the point of that little slush fund was used to build goodwill and try to get them reelected. And I said that slush fund should come to an end, which it hasn't. Then I said that slush fund contribution should not be made on behalf of individuals. But certainly that slush fund, Ms. Johnson, should not go to any entity, school, church, whatever, outside of the city limits of Riviera Beach. And I think you were crossing a line that if you designate, which in essence are taxpayers' funds for an entity outside of Riviera Beach, you have a big ethics problem, lady.
Thank you. Councilwoman Botel, you
I
recognize?
had the same misunderstanding when I first came to Riviera Beach about Palm Beach Gardens High School. I couldn't understand why money was being sent there. And then I was informed that 70% of our students in Riviera Beach go to Palm Beach Gardens High School, 70%. So it really is a Riviera Beach school by and large.
Do you have any more?
Madam Chair, that completes public comments for the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any person who would like to speak on an agenda item, please fill out a public comment card and give it to staff prior to the item being presented to council for discussion. Members of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak on each regular agenda item. In no event will anyone be allowed to submit a public comment card and speak on an agenda item after the resolution has been read. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 p.m. unless there is no further business of the City Council, which in that event, it shall begin sooner. In addition, if an item is being considered at 7:30 p.m., then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Any person who would like to speak during public comments, please fill out a public comment card located on the table directly outside of the council chambers and give it to the staff before the public comments section is announced.
Madam Chair, we did not do a vote on the consent agenda.
Yes.
Councilperson Davis.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Pro Tem Hubbard.
Yes.
Chair Davis Johnson.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
Item number.
Madam Chair, we are now down to awards and presentations. Item number 2, introduction and presentation by Terry Ferguson regarding the Riviera Beach Homeless Coalition.
Madam Chair,
Chair Pro Tem, you recognize?
I just want to state that Dr. Tony Drayton the Reverend Dr. Tony Drayton will be making the presentation on behalf of Ms. Terry Ferguson.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilperson. Not Ms. Ferguson, obviously. To the mayor, council, those who make up this great city. I rise or I stand to talk about an issue that is ubiquitous in our city, and Bridges want to put some attention to bring a resolve to it. And that issue is the escalating humanitarian problem of homelessness. And homelessness is all over our city. Bridges, briefly, is located on Blue Heron Boulevard. It's a program of the Children's Service Council, and Riviera Beach houses 1 of 10 Bridges. Bridges' goal is to raise healthy families, healthy children, and make our community whole. But it's difficult to make a community whole when homelessness is all over our community. Correct. And it's escalating at a rapid pace. Being a clergy person or a pastor in the city for over 25 years, I can tell you about once a week, sometimes twice a week, I'll get a phone call with families with kids 0 to 8 and sometimes older with no roof over their head. The pillows become a rock or the ground. The covering becomes the sky. And we're faced then at that moment of trying to segue or link them into some type of holistic services. We have limited funds like everyone else. Personally, I would have to go into my pocket or call an agency to make certain that that family has a roof over their heads that night. The problem that we're facing with homelessness is there are certain agencies that have become gatekeepers, up funds and gatekeepers as to how those funds are disseminated. And when a family is homeless or kids are out on the street, there's no desire to wait for 3 or 4 phone calls back, i.e. Bridges comes in. Bridges comes in, and now Bridges are forced with the same task of trying to find a shelter for that family overnight. And so with the disparity of the resolves and funds that are allocated, with gatekeepers of whom that we cannot control, Bridges reached out to some community partners, and the goal is to formulate a homeless coalition. And the homeless coalition, idealistically, is comprised and will be comprised of a multi-facet form that will include multi-disciplines, law enforcement, emergency workers, medical workers, clergy, you have it, grassroots person, entrepreneurship. And the goal would be to bring an end to the escalating problems of homelessness in our city. The coalition focus is to be entirely in Riviera Beach, to give our citizens, and especially those who are less fortunate than some of us, a safe place to stay. For example, the last family that I dealt with, along with Bridges and the Homeless Coalition, and there may be some person that's here that's already working with that coalition, we had to come out of our pocket, because we can't wait 2 and 3 days to tell a father with his 2 daughters in elementary school that there's no place for you to stay. And personally, I've had to come out of my checkbook, the church come out of their checkbook. Bridges are doing what they need to do, but oftentimes there's a deficiency. We're parsimonious in a lot of areas, and having funds to put to this issue is becoming very challenging. So the Homeless Coalition is there. Idealistically, someone calls Bridges or call the Homeless Coalitions. We would like to see some funds there where they can say, you know what, it's 10 o'clock at night, it's 6 o'clock at night, but we can assure you that we can address this issue until we get you into some structured services, which may take 2 or 3 days. So this coalition that Bridges wants to form and populate with Riviera Beach, they want to have a kickoff, or what's called a call to action. And the call to actions, I volunteered my time and effort with some others here to contact our houses of faith and let us at least begin to address it in a holistic way. And on February the 28th, the call to action, I volunteer our place of worship, St. James Church. And email blasts and invites will be going out. We need to raise some funds, so Bridges' hands will not be tied. We need to raise some funds, because regardless to where each of you serve, I guarantee you there's homelessness in your district. It transcends color, it transcends economic, it transcends status, it transcends class, and it meets us at the intersections of this great city in which we live, work, and play. Some folks are trying to live before they can get a chance to play. And I believe that this city is great enough that we can address resources to the mass homelessness situation and population that we have. And I would propose or suppose that each person before me can somehow, just as you are allocating funds to other things, allocate funds to the Homeless Coalition. I'm a proponent of athletics. That got me through college, whether for that and academics. So I have no problem with that. But I think there's some things that are called human issues of life that must be addressed. And what we are asking is that with this Homeless Coalition, that we galvanize our energies, galvanize our funds together, and bring a resolve. In my discipline, there's something, Old First Testament, that says, there shall be no poor among you. And I believe that. There should be no, there need not be any poor among us. So our desire and our hope is that this call to action, that when we meet, that funds will be brought in, given to Bridges, where they can begin to be the gatekeepers for Riviera Beach, and they can deal with the immediate needs that we find ourselves in on a daily basis. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilman Davis, you're recognized.
I just want to say thank you to Terry, Ms. Ferguson, and the Bridges family. Thank you to Pastor Drayton for stepping in and filling that gap. I sat through one of those meetings, and I tell you, it's not just a meeting. The people that's taking a part of those committees are serious about you. We here as a community in Riviera Beach, and they're giving their time and energy, and they're volunteering to make sure they understand that we address these real humane needs in our community. And for that, the next meeting, I will be making sure that whatever I have remaining left in my community benefits, I give it all to this organization to support St. James and Bridges together to make sure that we have that stopgap to address those mothers and fathers who need that temporarily relief to address a long-term problem. So I just want to say thank you to all of you guys and all the staff who has volunteered their time and they're giving back.
Chair Pro Tem, you recognized.
I want to thank Reverend Drayton on behalf of the Riviera Beach Homeless Coalition. I am definitely proud to be a part of that, and I hope that all of us will consider giving money to the Riviera Beach Homeless Coalition. As Reverend Drayton said, we, 10 o'clock at night, we can find a family that might need a room, and we have to have monies there to put them up until they can get more services. So it's definitely a worthy cause, a much needed organization, and we look forward to the whole community banding together to help hopefully one day address the end homelessness, but in the meantime, let's address the problem itself. And again, many thanks to the coalition.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor, you're recognized.
Dr. Drayton, come back. I want to ask you a couple questions. It's an honor to welcome you back to the mic.
Yes.
The mayors, Palm Beach County mayors under former Palm Beach County Mayor Priscilla Taylor brought forth the Mayor's Homeless Coalition, and it's been booming. They've done some great work. I think it's just called the Homeless Coalition. I think you referenced it earlier. I guess my question is, who are the members of the coalition? Are they Riviera Beach churches? Are they nonprofit organizations? The coalition that's going to be working with Bridges?
Great question. We met, a fledgling group has met at its onset. And right now, we have a cross-section of officers, person from the fire department, clergy person, and it's to grow. This is almost like the parent body, if you will, in our language there. But it by no means indicate the totality of what that coalition will look like, or the intent of Bridges, what that coalition will look like. Because we want all stakeholders to be a part of it. That's important. And we want it to be an incipient type of movement from the bottom up, from the grassroots movement. And so in my discipline, I thought it would be great, at least if for my discipline, the places of faith, that we have an intricate part in this coalition. Because I've discovered that whether they're your congregants or not, that phone is going to ring because you're a church, you're a mosque, a synagogue, and someone's going to say, I don't have a place to stay. So no, it's not exclusively just churches. It's the stakeholders of the community. And I believe that's very important to delineate and to announce that's what this coalition is about.
Also, I would suggest that you would make some contact with the Catholic Charities, who's doing great work as it relates to the homeless and other population in our city. I think everybody knows where I am with the homeless situation and people living under the bridge, particularly veterans, is just shameful. And I've been involved on a one-to-one basis with several of the homeless people. We have a relationship, the office of the mayor, with one of our local hotels in the West Palm Beach area that we can just pick up the phone and get people rooms overnight, because it can create an emergency situation until the powers that be kick in. What I would like to, first of all, I want to make sure that I'm invited to your meetings, because I didn't know anything about it. I know your member, Councilman Davis, knew, but I didn't know. But I certainly would like to be invited, because I think all of us probably would too, because it is something that is on the dying hearts of all of us. But what I would like to see is a plan, some type of what they plan to do, how the money is to be spent, you know, something. And I know you're in the developing stages, embryo stages now, but once that is completed, I would like for you to come back and present a specific plan, what the plan of action is, and how much money you would be asking from us, from me and others. That was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Botelli.
Thank you. I so greatly applaud the efforts to help the homeless in our community. You know, a great number of homeless live under the bridge, the Blue Heron Bridge, and a number of people on Singer Island have been reaching out to them to try to help. We've been working with St. Anne's Place, and the folks at St. Anne's recommended that the best thing to do for them would be to give them transportation vouchers, because St. Anne's has services. There are some places where there are services. These, by and large, are people who are not looking for a place to live. They are pretty much under the bridge because that's where they want to be. And so we can't force people into a residence situation, but we can help them in other ways. And so I'm just suggesting that I have a group of people on Singer Island who would be very interested in working with you and helping in this situation. I would also pledge some of my dollars toward this effort.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we are now on to item number 3. Office of the Mayor proclaims February 11th through 17th, 2019 as 211 Helpline Awareness Week in the city of Riviera Beach. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards on this item is now closed.
Madam Chair, as you know, back in the day, everyone was aware of 411, and today we have 911, but few people are aware of what 211 is. And many times I've had to refer people to 211 in those homeless situations and other kinds of situations that 211 could just give referrals, and they were right on top of it. So, from the office of the mayor, city of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, whereas many times people need help in meeting life's basic needs, and whereas they may experience times of crisis and are not sure where to turn or to dial, 211. 211 is the helpline that is central access point, providing people of all walks of life the guidance and support they need. And whereas with over 104,000 requests for help just last year, calls to 211 are free, confidential, and the 24/7 with text messaging, up to date, aren't you? And online chat that's also available. And whereas 211 also has specialized advocacy and support programs that include 211 Special Needs Helpline, 211 Help Me Grow, catching children's development delays early, elder crisis outreach as well. So they do address the needs of the elderly community, and we really appreciate that because they're the ones that built the bridge where we have crossed, and they are the backbone of our community. Whereas 211, I'm saying it redundantly and repetitively to make sure everybody gets that. 211, life-saving sunshine daily phone calls continue to brighten the lives of local seniors. Wonderful. Now, therefore, I, Bishop Thomas Masters, Mayor of the City of Riviera, I hereby proclaim February the 11th through the 17th as 211 Awareness Week in the City of Riviera Beach, and urge all residents to be aware that if they are overwhelmed and in crisis or just need to talk, 211 is available anytime of the day or night. 211 staff can also provide referrals for mental health counseling, substance abuse, health care, employment. We got to get you out of job fair next time. Employment, food assistance, daycare, support groups, volunteering, Evita pre-income tax preparation, and so much more. And I personally know, because we've made referrals, that 211 has been involved with suicide prevention and suicide calls as well, and you've done a great job. You've helped save many lives where people were so depressed that they were thinking about taking their own lives. Now, therefore, I proclaim, and I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Riviera Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 6th day of February 2019. Attest Thomas A. Masters, Mayor. Claudine L. Anthony, CMC, City Clerk. The City of Riviera Beach. We support your efforts, and we proclaim, we announce, and you have done a great job. And I'm going to ask the audience, let's give 211 a big hand.
Good evening, thank you. My name's Randy Gabriel, and I am the programs manager for 211. So all those programs we talked about are the ones that I manage. They are near and dear to my heart. Everyone that works at our agency has a heart for everyone that we serve. I just want to go over, when we talk about suicide, you mentioned that we are the National Suicide Prevention Line in this service area. Sadly, last year, our suicide rate, calls coming in, went up over 36% over the previous year, and 89% since 2016. That's a remarkable number. And we are there 24/7. I like to say that we're the only place you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that you talk to a human, which is true. You don't get a recording, you get a real live person. And we're trained to help people with all kinds of issues: homelessness, child behavior, we are domestic violence, and sometimes they just need someone to talk to, and that's what we're there for. So for this award and for your attention, your recognition, I thank you, and please remind your friends and colleagues to refer to us, because we have no advertising budget. So we depend on you to get the word out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to add the suicide rate. Many people may not know, but the last time I was doing some research and statistics, it was the highest in the teenage group, and it was very high among the young teenage girls, and it was growing. I think she would attest to that, so that's why we really got to get on top of that. Thank you, Madam Chair and Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Chair, we are now on to item number 4, presentation by Justice Service Center Director regarding Restore Our Voice Amendment Voter Registration Drive and Family Day event to be held February 16th, 2019. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards on this item is now closed.
Good evening, Council, and Mayor, and Madam Manager. I'm going to bring up, I have a flyer to show real quick, so I'm going to bring that up. Okay, so while that's coming up, I just wanted to tell everyone about an event that we're having. We're having a really big event on February 16th, and it's going to be at the Marina Event Center. And it's a voter registration drive, and it's also a family fun day. And so we have a lot of community agencies that are coming out to participate. We're going to have the Clerk and Comptroller's Office, the League of Women Voters will be there, Palm Beach County Public Safety, Career Source, and Palm Beach State College, a plethora of different agencies that are going to be there. And our objective here is to provide some of our folks with these needed resources, and also to register folks to vote that have been impacted by Amendment 4. And so just in case you all don't know, Amendment 4 was passed, was voted through, and it was effective January 8th. And so a lot of our folks that work in our program are directly impacted, as well as their families, by Amendment 4. And so what we wanted to do was just create a platform where they can come, find out information about voting. There's going to be voter education that takes place, and also they can register to vote. And so I just want to thank Councilman Davis has been a part of our planning process. He's been an advocate for our folks in our program, and throughout that. All right, so we can just kind of go through here. So our Councilman Davis has been an advocate for our program, and we've done a few programs in the past for our clients. The special thing about this event is that everyone's invited. It's a family event, and so we'll have free food. We'll have bounce houses for the kids. Digital Vibes will be there, and we want to have the Flowmobile will actually be there, and that's a driver's license and ID unit. So if someone does not have an ID or a license, which would stop them from voting, being able to register to vote, we'll have that on site so they can actually register on site. They can get an ID on site. They can get a license on site. And so we'll also have the Public Defender's Office there, and they'll be explaining the process of Amendment 4 and how it impacts each of our clients. And so just a quick definition of Amendment 4. It automatically restores the right to vote for people with prior felony convictions, except those convicted of murder or a felony sexual offense upon completion of their sentences, including prison, parole, and probation. And so it's important for the folks that are registering. There's a gray area now with Amendment 4, and it's based in the completion of sentence and what does that actually mean. And so as the new governor comes in and they kind of try to break that out, we have the clerk of court and the Public Defender's Office there because we don't want anyone to register that's not eligible to register. It's actually a felony. So we're going to have those folks on site so they can actually do a printout. If anyone owes any court costs or whatever, they'll be able to see that that day. And we actually have a plan in place for anyone that has court costs. And so with the clerk's office and the Public Defender's Office, they have a program where you can convert court costs to community service hours. So if someone owes $500 in court costs, you can convert that at a rate of $10 per hour of community service. And so we have some of those things in place so that we can make sure that we capture everyone in that process. And so we're inviting everyone out. It's February 16th at the Marina from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can bring the whole family. We'll have food and everything for you guys.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Davis, you recognize.
I just want to say thank you to our staff for doing a wonderful job with Mr. Bullitt as the senior leader. One of the things we want to add to this is Reggie D has been keeping a story to himself for a long, long time. He wanted to be here tonight, but he will be there on February 16th at 11 o'clock. He's going to tell that story about him being a convicted felon. and for so long, not having his rights restored and what it means to be a part of this event. So he's going to have about a 10-minute workshop explaining his story and how this is impacting and changing his life on that day. So Reggie D, want to make sure I got that information out to let Riviera Beach know that this process is changing his life, and he's enjoying going around. This will be the first time he's ever told his story publicly. He said he was very afraid to do it, but you know, with this Amendment 4, he said he can't hold it in no longer. So now he wants to tell you his story and how he was able to be successful and come out and do the right thing with his life. So I just want to say thank you, staff, for that. And also, we want to focus on this is not just about registering to vote. It's about all those other services. Just like stated, we have a lot of folks who have heavy court costs, and they want to get their IDs and driver's license, was the child support, whatever it may be. They have some things in place to allow you to convert those court costs into community service hours. And the last event we had a ton of people running the last minute that heard about it, and they had been so excited about being able to go and apply for a job and show and demonstrate they had some form of ID so they can move on with their lives and prevent a great sense of care for their families.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor, you recognize?
Thank you. A couple of things. It is to be noted that the state attorney, I'm not for sure you're aware, said that he would not prosecute those that tried to register and for some reason did not realize that there was probation, or they thought they had finished something, they were not on paper, whatever the reason may be, because it's disgraceful that we're getting felons to vote and yet don't charge them with a felony if they register, and they shouldn't register. But thanks that we have a very fair state attorney who understood that they should not be charged with a felony. I don't think they should be charged with anything. People make mistakes all the time. But he has stated on the record, as far as I know, that the state attorney's office is not going to prosecute, because what we don't want to do is scare a lot of ex-offenders who we now call returning citizens away from registering to vote because they think they're going to get another felony. They've been cleared. Now here we go again. Thank you to the state attorney for stepping in and helping to alleviate that fear. The other thing that's important, and this is a good time to state, and I've asked the clerk, she's checking the record now, but I believe February the 11th, did somebody see the 11th? Is the deadline? Yeah. February the 11th is the deadline for the returning citizens to register to vote if they plan to vote in the March election. As you know, we had a job fair for ex-offenders, and hundreds have already registered as a result of the job fair. But those who are listening and viewing on TV, please note that you have until February the 11th if you're going to vote in the March 12th election, providing that you have not been convicted of murder or any of the sexual offenses that you talked about. Also, if there is a runoff, you get a few extra days. Even if you don't miss the 11th deadline, there's a few extra days that you may get in order to vote in the runoff. But register. People worked very, very hard that we may have the right to vote. So please register before the February the 16th, providing that you want to vote in your local city election. And if not, just register and vote whenever you can. Thank you. Thanks for the great work that you're doing for your program and our program for ex-offenders, returning citizens, and getting them the supportive services. That's why we have the job fair for ex-offenders. When they come out, as you know, recidivism is very high, 60-something%. But if we can get them a job and turn their lives around with all these additional resources, we can get a handle on this, and those numbers can go down. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to add, if you have any questions about this event, registering to vote or anything, 561-840-3124 is our office number, 561-840-3124. You can reach any of our staff, and they'll be able to help you with anything regarding this event or registering to vote.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Davis, you recognize.
the group, could we hear that item right before we go to public comment?
I want to begin public comment at 7:30. I don't know how many cards that we have.
That's why I was trying to get it done before I knew this was going to happen.
Right. But we began our meeting so late, I want to go ahead and get this underway. Public comments should be restricted to issues, matters, or topics pertinent to the City of Riviera Beach. Please be reminded that the City Council has adopted rules of decorum governing public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the entrance of the council chambers. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the chairperson may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and/or the building if necessary. Please govern yourself accordingly.
Madam Chair, the acceptance of public comment cards for this section of the agenda is now closed. Bonnie Larson, Lloyd Brown, Bessie Brown.
Bonnie Larson. Multiple things, so I'll talk fast here. Broadway, it was really a bumpy road on Broadway around the area of Goodwill. I don't know what street that is, but it was really bad. They did a temporary fix on it. That was awful, but now someone has done it properly. They repaired the road there in 3 spots properly, so I'm wondering who did that. Was that DOT? Was it AT&T who messed up the road in the first place, or was it the city? I'm interested to know who did that. Now, that's a good start, but we have 3 or 4 other places on that same stretch of Broadway. You drive in the eastern side, which is more towards the stores, and your car is going to go out of alignment. So we have 3 good fixes. Now we need to continue. Let's not stop short. Fix Broadway. We still have the RV graveyard on Broadway. We're trying to make Broadway look better, but it's just looking worse all the time. Additions and deletions to the meetings. We've got to put a deadline on this. We've got to. We have more additions and deletions than we did on the normal number of topics. Set a date, and that's a deadline. If you don't get in your, Mr. Davis disappeared. Well, if you don't get your subject in, then you can't do it. Then you have to wait till the next 2 weeks. But let's quit with this add-on and deletion. It's just getting worse and worse by the minute. We bought the property at 3500 Broadway, which is the old Schooner Inn property. What was our thought process in purchasing that property in the first place? We never heard why we bought that, but now there were surveyors out there, and that was interesting because before we bought it, should have been a survey done. I'm sure it was. So why are they out there surveying now? We like to know what's going on in the city. Also on about 21st to 24th Street, there are all kinds of orange lines on the sidewalk. What are they doing there? What's the deal with that? We have restaurants have come and gone. If you didn't get to Broadway Joe's, it's too late. They're gone. There's going to be another restaurant there. It's called La Granja, which is a Peruvian restaurant. I understand there's a full-service one on, there he comes, on North Lake Boulevard. I never knew about that, but that's what's going to be coming in there now. The Hub, that moved out. That's for lease. That was on Broadway near the BB&T Bank building. I understand that Soul Food left. Public Works. I drove by the old Public Works facility. I drove by there today. And we have sitting there a Brinks truck, an old Brinks truck, and an old food truck. We've got to make our properties look good. How can we expect citizens and other companies who come in there to keep up their property if our properties look like slum? Slum landlord right on 28th and Broadway. Still, there's graffiti. There's an old air conditioner on the roof, which probably hasn't worked for 100 years. Their driveway is a mess. They put out old furniture. It's not the tenant's fault. It's the landlord, the owner. They've got to fix that. It makes us all look bad. It's been there for quite some time in that condition. Big hole in the wall on the north side. I brought that up several times before. So what are we planning to do with those properties? And I'll see here. Oh, job description for the mayor. At one of the debates, they were asking, what would you do as the mayor? There must be a job description somewhere. Where can we find that so we know what the mayor is supposed to do? Because they were asked, what would you do? Well, there must be a job description somewhere. Where is it? So that we know. Thank you.
Lloyd Brown.
Hello. I was listening to the guy that was just up here talking about, register to vote or whatever. What's so odd about that, I thought, we already had those rights. And I mean, people might be fighting for them right now. but back then people died for them. Why should we have to go through all this to get our rights back when you took them in a matter of minutes? I may not be a felon, but I stand by these felons because I see them every day. They stand on the corners. And then when you talk about jobs, jobless mean homeless. I see a lot of churches, they don't hire people from the neighborhood. So I'm not going to just put this on, you know, the people, the homeless people, they may want jobs, but now if you go to the labor pool, you have to take a drug test. And I mean, it's a lot of homeless people who are drug addicts. So I mean, but if you had jobs, you wouldn't have homelessness like you have it. And if you go ride around the neighborhood, you look at most of these churches. I know he's a minister right down the street from me. Look who's doing the lawn maintenance in most of the places around here. You can't get an individual inside the church who has a lawn service business where you can pick him up and put him on his feet and hire individuals around your neighborhood. So, I mean, when you come up here and complain about homelessness, I mean, look in the mirror. I mean, you got a lot to do with it, too. I mean, churches, they're tax-free. I mean, look, where's the money going into a bank that's financing these houses over here where these people who are building these houses, none of them live in the neighborhood, not any one of them. I done went to 3 houses being built. I haven't seen not a single individual I know. When I was coming up, that's all I saw, doing the roads, the lawn maintenance. I mean, look, if you go out there and you're going to hire somebody from outside the neighborhood, you can't say anything about homelessness because you're creating it yourself. I mean, you're going to have to put your foot down, too. Don't try to throw it on everybody and say, well, you need help from the city. Yeah, okay, that's right. And then the city say you're going to pull people in here for jobs. I mean, how? I don't see anybody coming in here. And then you can't get a man a job who's paying $1,900 a month for rent, a job at McDonald's and Burger King. You can't get a person to do that. And another thing, you know these stores in our neighborhood? In Miami, what they did, they sent the health department just to go through without anybody knowing. You know, they found about 20, maybe not that many, but you know how it is. The fish was that little, and when I came here, it was that big. Well, they did about 12 stores down in Miami. They found out that these stores were really dirty. Riviera Beach, you can look over there. How many times you seen a tent over there on the Imperial? Or you seen a tent somewhere? Not never. So you know there's got to be something in there. Straighten out these little small problems. And one thing, I'm going to tell you what the felons told me. They don't really, I haven't registered, and this is what they told me. Until Riviera Beach gets somebody in there that's worth voting for, what's the use of registering? Anyway, who want half their rights? Do they put felon money over here to build a city and unfelon people money over here? No, they put it all together. So don't give me half and then tell me that, oh, you got to pay taxes, but you can only do half the things that everybody else do. That's BS, because one thing, I want to protect myself. I don't live in a gated community, but those gated communities, they got guns. Those are the ones up there in Washington or whatever who's putting this vote in. They got guns and everything to protect themselves, but I can't have it. What I'm going to do with a voter's registration card when a brother coming there with an AK-47 shooting at me? What I'm going to do? Say, I live in Riviera Beach. I got the right to vote. Please don't shoot me. That's BS.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Bessie Brown, Reverend William H. Burrs, Fane Losman.
Good evening, Bessie Brown. The last time I was here, I talked about the bus stops in front of Stony Brook. I said something, Terrence Bailey said something. Well, there's no reconciliation because we still have no bus stops from U Avenue to Barack Obama. Now that is not, that should be taken care of. And when I ask for an answer, I want an answer because these people in Stony Brook are being displaced. They would have to leave Stony Brook and walk to Congress. Now Terrence Bailey is not the transportation man, so I need you all to take care of this for our citizens. And Stony Brook is already catching hell, and I just mean that, you know. And right now, our road construction, the construction over in Park Manor. I saw Terrence Bailey again at our neighborhood association meeting, and he said they're doing bike lanes and all of this stuff that's going on. And like I told him, and he was going to check on my street because of where the construction was in my street. It's much deteriorated. And you got to drive through these holes, so that I'll be needing the front end alignment or flat tires or whatever. When I talk to him, I know how to come back and continue to talk about it, because I want it done. If you're going to say you're going to check on it, call me. And I have left him messages. That's been ever since my association meeting. Haven't heard from him. And they have finished the road. I would just like to ask, could someone please get us a copy or some pictures of anybody else's roads that have been done for the roads on 34th and H Avenue East and West, because it's just horrendous. And like I said, the things where the water go in, the gutters or whatever, those things are so rusty and so ugly, they look worse than the ones that have been sitting there on F Avenue for 32 years, because that's how long I have lived over there. Now, we need to do better. If we're paying for things, we need to get the best of services and not have our communities look like that. I know some construction going on over there in Singer Island at one of the places. I would hope that matter of fact, I've been over there riding around to look. I haven't seen theirs looking like that. Now, we got to do better here. And we have to do better here, because we pay taxes. And I want an answer and a response to my satisfaction, because now they have actually finished the roads and smoothed it out and everything, but they never addressed the issue that I had on 35th Street closest to F Avenue, where 35th comes to 34th near F Avenue. Now I just need, I don't have a problem. I'm glad we're doing things, but you know what? We need to make sure if we hire people that we get the service that we want. But I still want to see a street that has, the way our street look, I want to see one that has been done that way. From the company that did the work.
Thank you.
Reverend William H. Burrs, Fane Losman, Douglas Lawson.
Madam Chair, Council Mayor, coincidentally, I came by the city clerk's office and I was looking at the last meeting you all had, not the meeting, but this meeting they had with the candidates. And I stopped by the city clerk's office, and I started to pick up one of these amendments things what going on the agenda, going on the council for election in March, rather. And I read this, and when I read this is ridiculous. This is totally, how would y'all sit there and pass something like this here?
You talking about the amendments?
If the citizens pass this, we don't need y'all. Because this amendment says, number one says, if the council cannot give the city manager orders, period.
That's right.
Who's supposed to give him orders?
You're right.
This has got to be crazy. Why would you all put something on there for a referendum for the citizens say we want to put the city in the hands of an individual, man or woman, and the council cannot give him orders? And that's what they're saying.
Absolutely right.
The council cannot give the city manager orders. This is beyond my imagination. The citizens need to know this. I asked that some time ago when this first came out. I said, why don't y'all, before y'all put this on to a referendum, have a town hall meeting with the citizens and read these things to them? That didn't happen. See, a lot of citizens will go, due to the fact of the problem that we've been having in this city, they'll just go vote because they're for a referendum want to change. And they don't know what they're doing when they really don't understand what they're doing. Here about the council cannot give orders, instruction to an employee. You got that already in order. That's already, y'all don't know this? A council person cannot give orders to anybody work under the city manager. I'm a living witness of that. I used to work for the city. Council come down to our apartment one time, go give us an order. We told them to get the song out of here. You don't tell us what to do. The jury employees ought to know this. A council person cannot give a directive to anybody under the city manager. You don't need this on the agenda for a referendum. Now, I'm on here saying that if a person serves on the council, when they serve their period of time, they cannot get a job with the city. They cannot get a business with the city. This has got to be crazy. I don't understand why y'all would put something like this for a referendum. It also says that now that if you serve 3 years, council served 3 years, should have been 2. It don't matter because people can vote you out when they get ready. Then they can't, it's 3 years. What you gonna do? There's don't say, they can't say that you can't stay out for a term and then come back and run. It doesn't say anything about that. These things should have been spelled out much better. I would say to the citizens, they need to read this and don't vote for none of this. This is just garbage. This is just ridiculous to go to a referendum for the citizens to pass. Y'all ought to have a workshop with the citizens and let them know, don't vote for this because you're giving your city into the hands of one person when you become the city manager. You all can't tell them nothing. This says that the council cannot give the city manager orders. Where is that happen? Who are going to get his orders from? Who's going to tell him what to do? Thank you, ma'am. Y'all need to think about that. And y'all, if y'all ready to vote to send this to a referendum? It's on the ballot?
What you call crazy.
I can't believe this.
Thane Lozman, Douglas Lawson, Bishop Thomas Masters.
Thane Lozman, Singer Island. The five of you are the elected final policymakers for the city. To some degree, the mayor, because he has certain powers you don't have, he's also a policymaker. The six of you last summer directed the city attorney's office to terminate Bedard and his law firm.
That's right.
And replace him with another attorney. Lina Busby, I don't know if she's around tonight, she was present to Grafenright with President. They have obfuscated, they have stalled, they have not wanted to do that. They have made excuses. They say the insurance company's not getting back to us. They've done all kinds of stuff, but do what the six of you told the city attorney's office to do. Now we have the city attorney there, and I talked to her, and she said, oh, well, we sent a memo, and this lady's not around, and this person's not around. You don't need the insurance company's permission to terminate a law firm that disparaged an elected official and brought dishonor to the city. Right. You said fire. The city attorney needs to fire Bedard. Once he's fired, she calls up and says, give us a pool of new law firms, and we'll choose one. Lina Busby said that last summer. Here it is 6 months later. It's not the insurance company to determine the client's lawyer. Say the guy was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, hypothetically, yet a lawyer was. You can't fire your own attorney? Sure you can fire your own attorney. The six of you said fire Bedard. He's still there. This new city attorney doesn't understand that there's a consensus to fire Bedard, and she has not fired him, and he needs to be fired. You fire him, then you say, by the way, insurance company, where's our replacement attorney? If not, she can act as the city's replacement attorney. She's been an attorney going on 30 years. She can figure it out and hold the pieces together, but it's almost insubordination for the city's law office to ignore what the six final policymakers who are her boss told her what to do. Now, people saying, we got a big election coming up. I've had some issues where I haven't been able to come around as much. I want to tell you, we need some changes up there. And the number one change is we need a new chairperson. Tanya Davis Johnson, it's time for you to go. I've been to the Palm Beach County Commission. I've made my comments repeated times about what went on over there with me and you. You had a lot of nerve after I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars winning a case at the Supreme Court to have the police come and try to censure me when I had my First Amendment rights speaking at this council meeting. You know, you want the protections of equal protection. You know, my attorney at Stanford, she won the Windsor case, the gay rights case, okay? You believe in gay rights, but yet, First Amendment, we don't believe in that. We are not going to tolerate anybody sitting up there that's not an advocate for the First Amendment. Your other four people are. You're not. It's time for you to go. People who supported me over the years, who do I want up there? I want Tommy Walker to replace you. Thank you.
Douglas Lawson, Bishop Thomas Masters, Dana Jones.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Chairperson Tanya Davis Johnson, Vice Chair. My name is Douglas Lawson. I'm a resident here at Riviera Beach and a candidate City Council. I'm proud that the Police Benevolent Association endorsed me. I look forward to working with them and working with the youth here in the community. Our goal is to help with the divide that the police and the community have in this city. And I want to make sure that we continue to push as a city together. I'm up here today because I'm the owner and founder of Infinity Taxons and Beyond. and I want to announce the Bridge to Infinity Camp. The police department is working with our city to help save the youth that are here in this community, because the recent shootings in our community are derived from a lot of the kids here. So the camp that we're announcing tonight is the Bridge to Infinity Camp, and it's a summer youth entrepreneurial camp. It's a camp for kids between the ages of 12 and 17. We had a very successful camp last year that was completely funded by Infinity Taxes and some of the sponsors. We're looking for business owners here in the community to associate with the camp that can come along the last week of July. Business owners, leaders, and members of the council to help with building this camp. So what our goal is to get these kids and these idle hands off the streets and to support each other. If we can do that as a team, then we can unify together. So with the Bridge to Infinity Camp, it'll be the last week of July. We want to actually have as many business owners available as possible, and we're looking for sponsors as well. So if anyone is interested in sponsoring and supporting this camp, please, it's the last week of July. Our office is on the corner of Blue Heron and Broadway, 25 East Blue Heron, and we're going to be starting it July 28th. Thank you. Have a great evening, Council.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Davis?
I think we need to reiterate the candidates that we do not use public comment to advocate for office, but you can talk about your information. And we said that on numerous occasions, so I think at some point we need to make sure that we reinforce that that is taking place from everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Bishop Thomas Masters, Dana Jones, Evelyn Harris Clark.
I speak as a minister, pastor, and the bishop of the New Macedonia Baptist Church. You've already seen one pastor speak and how he has spoken about these amendments. I must tell you, as one of the pastors and ministers who are meeting across this city, we share the same sentiments that Pastor Burrs and other ministers are saying to their congregations. One, let's talk about this term limit thing. It really isn't term limit. It's very, you got two kinds, a conservative and a liberal. This basically says after 3 consecutive terms, if you're out for a year, whatever, you run again. Or if you're the mayor, you can run for your own seat where you live, or either the citywide seat. So, I mean, all we're doing is recycling. Or if you are a council person, and number 2, and you've served 3 terms, when that term is over, you can run for another council seat, the citywide seat, or the mayor's seat, or whatever. So you're still getting the same people, and the same people voting. It's also very unfair. I've had 5 terms. Hope as March the 12th will determine if we go further, but it's unfair to young people that go to college. They come back and we tell them, you can't have 5 terms like the previous mayor. You can only have 3. We all know up there it takes at least 2 terms to even get your feet on the ground, the learning curve. In the 3rd term, you're actually activating and getting things done. So as one of the ministers that have joined Pastor Burrs and other pastors of the city and the churches, as we go from church to church, I joined them to say vote no. Now, on the term limits, we've voted no several times, twice. The residents of this city have voted no, and I'm sure we're going to vote no again. As far as the year, you can't come back and be employed. We all know what that's about. That's about, in my mind, Cedric Thomas, because he left the council and went to be a police officer. Well, wait a minute. He was a police officer before he was a council member. That's what I think that's all about. So listen, suppose you're an elected official, you want to become an ambassador. You know, come on, people. Don't make this personal. The ethics thing, we already have ethics. Who puts ethics in the charter? And then this thing here is so ambivalent, it doesn't even tell you what the ethics is. It just says created, there's no due process. It doesn't tell you what the state ethics is, it doesn't tell you what the federal is. So you're going and vote on something in the dark that you don't even know. Pastor Burrs is absolutely right, and I'm happy that the pastors and ministers have joined to say to the residents of this city, vote no. Who has a subordinate person under them like a city manager and you can't tell them what to do? Crazy. Join the ministers. Thank you very much.
Dana Jones, Evelyn Harris Clark, Shirley Lanier.
Good evening. Hello. I I'm Dana Jones. I'm back again.
Good evening.
I haven't heard anybody come to my house and concern me on fixing my cars because they messed up my driveway where I couldn't get in and out my driveway. I scratched up my car. I need it fixed. Now, everybody's up for election. How are we going to vote for anybody if ain't nobody listening to the people? And I want to know why I haven't heard from somebody. It's been a while since I've been up here. I've been in Rivera for 56 years. I have never had a problem with nobody. But if they give me one, like my husband say, they don't know who they messing with. He said, I'm the meanest woman in Palm Beach County. Somebody has to fix my car because they shouldn't block somebody's driveway where they can't get in and out of their driveway to go where they have to go. And nobody have called me, nobody said nothing, nobody been to my job. I've been with Walgreens for 19 years. I'm always at work from 2:30 to 11 at night. Nobody has came to see me about nothing. So I want to know, what are they going to do about getting somebody to my house to figure out what they're going to do about my car?
Madam City Manager. Hi, Ms. Jones.
Hello.
If you would please give me your information, and I will ensure that we contact you tomorrow. If you would meet me right here.
Okay.
Evelyn Harris Clark, Shirley Lanier, Doretta Polk.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the dais. Evelyn Clark.
Good evening.
Good evening. On my job, we have this program called the Star Award. And whenever a colleague does something terrific for another colleague, we make sure we acknowledge that. There are three categories of people existing in the world: the wanters, the wishers, and the makers. We could talk about making a difference, or we can make a difference. On behalf of the Clark family, we wish to express our gratefulness to Riviera Beach staff who have responded to our request to keep our neighborhood safe, clean, and valued. And tonight, I would like to start off with Ms. Julia Botel, who takes time to resolve the many unsafe neighborhood problems, as well as being a physical presence in our neighborhood activities. Ms. Botel. Next, Ms. Lynn Hubbard and Hope Janti, who solely coordinated the Keep Riviera Beach Clean, Keep Riviera Beach Beautiful campaign in our neighborhoods. My neighbors appreciated the support and have requested a repeat. The Riviera Beach Police Department, over the last 4 years, have helped turn a neighborhood plagued with drugs, prostitution, and other negative activity into one of the most safest areas, in addition to hands-on, safe, and secure approach by checking in on residents' homes or by telephone. CRA staff, who work tirelessly long hours to bring special events and beautification program with excellence to Riviera Beach. Park Manor residents, special appreciation to Mr. Scott Evans and staff who take time away from their families to listen to our neighborhood illegal construction dumping and unsightly debris brought in from other municipalities that our tax dollars pay for. In addition, making sure these people are informed about our city ordinances and adhere to rules. Code enforcement. It may not be a popular department, but they are popular in responding to problems or working out solutions where everyone is happy. And to the Riviera Beach residents, again, we can talk about making a difference, or we can make a difference. Also, I want to bring to your attention, starting on Wednesday, February 13th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, please come to a Riviera Beach community event, learn and understand your proposed charter amendments, speak with community leaders. The choice is yours. It's held at 2831 South Avenue, Riviera Beach, Florida, 33404. I'd like to leave you with a couple of things. Come and learn about your charter and the amendments. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I also learned a long time ago at the knees of my father there's one thing in life. That is, you don't trust a pastor that tells you how to vote, and you don't trust a politician that tells you how to pray.
Point of order. Thank you.
Political is that?
I'm a grown
Chair,
adult
the point
woman.
the chair
You
said,
do
point
not
of
yell at
order,
me
respect the
at
chair,
all and
respect
tell
the
me
chair.
what to do.
We're not
We
respecting-
are not peers.
Respect the
We
chair.
are not
cut the
peers.
feed.
Respect the chair. Take her out if she's not.
Please,
the
Ms.
chair.
Lanier, come forward.
Doretta Polk, Willis Williams.
That's right, officer.
How you doing? Hi, my name is Shirley Lanier. I am a candidate for District 3, the election for March the 12th. I just wanted to comment on an issue that I heard that they were talking about 211. They were talking about homelessness and the issues that are in our community. Riviera Beach and in Belglade is our highest cases. So when we talk about issues of development and about jobs, we also need to talk about public health. We have a city of 35,000 residents, but our city leads the county and in South Florida of new cases of HIV. So what is happening is that we do not have any public health in this city. The city does not seem to be concerned about public health here. We have access to grant opportunities that we're not taking. I had said this before about there are numerous grants that the city can apply for. They don't. There is a grant with the Center for Disease Control. It is a $1 million Healthy Cities grant. And the city of Charlotte, North Carolina got the grant on a 2-page proposal. It's not rocket science. You learn how to write grants by writing grants. So what is happening in this city is that, you know, when you hire people, you don't hire people who have several skills. When I work at Palm Beach County, I write grants, I write integrated plans, I write strategic plans, I do needs assessments. I have many skills. So when you hire people, you have to hire competent people to be able to do numerous things. We don't have a whole lot of money here. We have to be about the business of finding resources, finding public partnerships, finding money that is out there that is not coming out of our pocket. Because if the money is out there, why are we not getting it? We're always, in the city of Riviera Beach, the pass-through entity, which means that somebody else gets the grant and then it passes through to us. And they take their administrative cut off the top, and we're left with monies that's less for services. So when we talk about services for Riviera Beach, let's talk about public health. Let's talk about the fact that we do have homelessness, and we do have people who don't have insurance. Because we are leading the county in HIV cases, and that is no joke. That is a serious public health for here. And I just want to say that I'm Shirley Lanier, and I'm running for District 3. Thank you.
Doretta Polk, Willis Williams, J.B. Dixon.
Good evening. My name is Doretta Polk, and I'm a resident of Riviera Beach, the city. And I want to just speak a little bit about the comment that Mr. Losman made. Now, this might be a little redundant, but I was trying to get ready to come to the meeting tonight, and I heard part of what was said concerning our children, regardless of what school they attend. What school? They reside in Riviera Beach. If they need funds, they should get it, whether they're in Dreyfus, Bark, Dwyer, wherever. If that's our children, and any that lives in the city should get the funds, because our children need the funds. Like I have been mentioning, and I also would like to know how is the partnership with Attorney Ferguson and the librarian with identifying children of different schools that need the tablets or laptops. How is that going to identifying those children so they can be on an even playing field with other children and be able to pass these core measure tests that's coming up? And hopefully one thing the governor is doing, getting away with those core measures. And I just hope that it helps with the children. Another thing that I want to mention is that I'm the second year going to this Citizen Academy. This is an awesome program sponsored by Councilman Kashamba Miller Anderson. And I learned it's very informative and educational. I learned about the city drug court. I was thinking the director is Mrs. Scott. And I asked a question concerning the safety of when you do have people coming into the program and going before the judge and stating their cases and everything. What about their protection? The employees' protection, even the police officers, which she said that they have the sheriff officers, Riviera Beach is there. But you know what? I was thinking about what happened in Sebring, Florida, near Tampa. This young man just came into that bank, didn't know any one of those people that's hired there, and started shooting and killed these people. We have metal detectors downstairs. Why can't we get a metal detector in there to protect our employees and also the citizens that are going in there, the people who are trying to get their lives back together? We need to invest in metal detectors. You have it downstairs, which is thankful, and also in the library, they have a detection will go off. We need to have it down there for the safety of all our employees. And I don't think not one employee should be fired, or the hours should be cut to bring this metal detection in place. And also on Avenue E, the road, the pavement is wonderful. You did a wonderful job, City Manager Hawkins, very wonderful job. And I thank you very much.
Willis Williams, J.B. Dixon, Amon Israel.
Good evening, Council. Willis Williams, Riviera Beach. I have a few things on my list that I wanted to talk about tonight, and I'm glad Mrs. Polk mentioned one about the streets being done. There's a lot of sand that's being removed out of the Monroe Heights area right now. We've got all that space that where we tore down the Public Works building. At some point in time, we're going to need some fill. I see all of this sand leaving. I mentioned this a few months ago about the sand on Avenue E. This may seem very minute to a lot of people, but when you work in the construction industry and you have to go back and replace all of this stuff, when you already have it on at hand, it makes a difference. So I would really take a look at the debris that's being moved out of the Monroe Heights area right now, being taken out by truckloads out of the city. That's going to cost these taxpayers in this city at a later date. The other thing is I called over a week or two ago about a public record request. I've been mentioning this about the truck that's in the utilities department. Now they have another truck, and I'm assuming that this is probably the same truck, but it had to go back in and get a newer one because that one from the rental company had to be replaced. We still have not purchased a truck. I called over to ask for a public records request. I was referred to Mr. Horton. Mr. Horton gave me a call, which I appreciate very much, but it didn't answer my question. I still haven't received the public records request. I want to know how much money have we spent, have this city has paid for renting that vehicle? That is, it's getting ridiculous at this point. The other thing, I came over the other day to pay my water bill, and I noticed that the line was closed. You can't get to the drive-up to pay your water bill. So come to mind to me is the facilities manager. That's their job, the facilities manager. What are these people doing for the money that we pay for each month? They're coming in. I don't see anything being done out of that public works department when it comes to the facility manager. That seems like an easy fix that was out there. So if we have to just get on the phone and pick up a vendor, to call a vendor, I mean, the department here can do that. That's a salary we could be saving. The other thing, there's 3 or 4 different houses going up in Riviera Beach. And I noticed one on Avenue S. It's a 1,600 square foot home on that lot on the corner of 35th and it's supposed to be a 5-bedroom house. It's unbelievable how you can build a house for 1,600 square feet and get that size. So it's a lot of things that need to be looking at. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't taken care of. And I'd just like to know when I'll get that public request that I asked for to know how much money have we spent from the time that we rented, and also take a look at this referendum. It's what you call hype of the season right now. Everybody's running scared. So let's take time, breathe. We still have to run the city. The city has to still be ran, and be careful about who you choose to vote. I'm talking about the citizens now. Don't pick up on the hype, because there's a lot of things going on out there, and you really need to concentrate on who you're going to support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. J.B. Dixon, Amon Israel, Dr. Philip Dukes.
I'm J.B. Dixon. I live on Ocean Drive on Singer Island in Riviera Beach. I have some happy news to announce. On February 23rd, there will be an inaugural event, which we certainly hope will be an annual event from here on. It's called Singer Island Beach Polo. And there will be polo teams, polo horses on the sand on the municipal beach just behind the Ocean Mall. We hope to make this an annual event that will drive tourism to Riviera Beach, and certainly a good image to Riviera Beach. I think that there's going to be, I know there's already a lot of media interest in this. There's also been a lot of tickets already sold and sponsorships, although we have had a tough time getting this done, and I have to thank the city for its patience in especially Ms. Hoskins and Mr. Blankenship and Mr. Gagnon and Major Lewis from the police department have all helped us do this. We're on a very small budget this year, so we certainly want you all to buy tickets, and we want anyone who has a business here to be a sponsor. But although we have no complimentary tickets whatsoever for anyone's friends, we are inviting our council, our mayor, and our city manager to be our guests at that event. That's why I've been asked to come up and invite all of you, and we hope you can attend on February 23rd. And the mayor, I said. What is she talking about? Oh, the city attorney, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, there's a VIP tent always at a polo match. Oh, before I answer that, those of you who have never seen polo or don't know anything about polo and don't know if you'd be interested in it, one of the things that we're going to do is have a tutorial. So the announcer will be there to explain the game, how it's played in checkers, et cetera, so that would. And also the proceeds, if any, will go to a charity that has that teaches Riviera Beach children to ride horses, and they're usually taken out to a farm far west from here, and also introduced at that place to other animals like goats, etc., that they may not have access to here in the city. The tickets in the VIP tent, which includes complimentary champagne, are $100. We are working to see, we're going to have a low price for general admission. It started at $20. As we sell more memberships, we're making it less. They have not gone on sale yet. We hope to put it at maybe $5 if we can. If we suddenly got very lucky, we would make it for free for general admission. Thank you.
Thank you. Amon Israel, Dr. Philip Dukes.
Good evening, Mayor and Chair and Council. My name is Amon Yisrael, Riviera Beach, Florida, the Monroe Heights area. We've had a lot of conversation about Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. The time is now for us to wake up and make the dream a reality. We're at the crossroads now here in Riviera Beach. We could turn to the left or go to the right. I'm asking the good people of Riviera Beach to come together. It is imperative that we elect men and women who are positive images in our community. Integrity and ethics is a must. March the 12th, let's go to the right. Thank you.
Dr. Phillip Dukes.
Dr. Phillip Dukes, 1217 Avenue U, City of Riviera Beach, Council Mayor. Our next event will be March 30th from 1:30 to 5 p.m. at 1217 Avenue U in the City of Riviera Beach. This is our weekend Change Our Community Atmosphere rally for us to deal with the drug retail market that breeds murder, death, family, and community decay. Could you imagine what the paper would say? Riviera Beach takes a zero tolerance against the drug retail market in the city. Now, I know that there are people that truly believe that black communities have to have gangs and violence, but that is a part of the modern day Jim Crow. And we have this because we keep following this Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Marion Barry playbook. That's why we have it. It's all over America, where we live at. Where we live at. All over America. We have these low standards in our community that we, as African Americans, perpetuate by giving people excuses. Do you know every place in this city where I sold drugs in the 70s, you still buy it today? I went to prison from Imperial. You still buy dope at Imperial. Only two places in the city that you don't buy drugs where I sold dope at, and that is the Blue Heron because it tore it down, and Broadmoor because it don't exist. And then in the 80s, I became the prince of crackheads. I went from selling dope to being on dope. So I see all these cycles. These cycles continue for our children. They're not in North Palm Beach. They're not in Wellington. I have families come from Wellington, North Palm Beach to my place to find their children that are in Riviera Beach. A lot of times that's how I got donations, because somebody told somebody about what I do, so they came and found me. It is not right that we allow this continue in our city, as small as our city is. Somewhere in America, black folk got to stand up with everybody else and draw them down to change our community atmosphere. We just had a murder out here on Palm Beach, on Gardens Road. That murder is tied to our city, thug life. But the problem is that we're afraid to speak up because we're afraid, and in this council and the mayor's office, you got to admit that you're afraid that somebody might do something to you. I've lived with that ever since 2001 when I came out of the streets and began this work, and we had that Mo case. I've lived with that. Our communities are held hostage because we will not have high standards. So every generation has to go through the same thing because we won't raise the standards. So I'm asking you to support Operation Restore. All of our music is on Broad Jams. You go on Broad Jams, B-R-O-A-D, jam, J-A-M.com, and / Phillip Dukes. We're taking 30% of all of our downloads and bringing them into our city to help our city and our nonprofit do what we need to do. It's not right that we continue every generation have the same thing. When the system begin to deal with this heroin problem, they begin to clean it up. They clean meth up. But we don't clean up our community, so I'm asking you to support us. Operation Restore, P.O. Box 10111, Riviera Beach, Florida. We're a 501c. And remember, March the 30th from 1:30 to 5 p.m., 1217 Avenue U. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that completes public comments at this time.
Okay. We had the addition to the agenda with regards to digital signs.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, you want to announce that?
Madam Chair, we have item number 4A, a presentation from Bernstein and Associates.
4A, from the addition. Yeah, that's something you added at the last meeting. The Bernstein presentation was a request from the last meeting, if you recall. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Mayor.
Come over to the mic, sir.
And council members, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm Richard Bernstein. I'm the CEO of Richard Bernstein Associates, Inc. We wish to take this moment to thank you for the opportunity to be your strategic partners for the past 4 years. We are honored to be your agent of record, and our team, Wayne, Bob, Pam, Artisha, Claudia, and Denver, we think that we have made a difference in the city of Riviera Beach. We received a termination letter from the city risk manager on January 8th stating that our services were no longer necessary. On January 8th, Bernstein Associates received an email from the city risk managers informing us that our agent of record contract was terminated and that our services were no longer necessary. The same letter was sent to all the insurance companies that represent the city of Riviera Beach. The relationship with the carriers for the benefit of the employees and dependents, and the things that we were concerned about was the non-payments and the late payments over the last 4 years. Our relationship with the insurance carrier was instrumental to limit cancellations due to non-payments and late payments. There have been numerous problems over the past number of years, and our relationships were instrumental to keep the services available. The biggest situation was the list bill. We directed the implementation of a list bill from all carriers in place of a self-bill. That was the very first thing that we did when we became your agents. This would ensure proper premium payments for the employees and the city, and that was one of our biggest concerns. Other items of our direct involvement: monthly wellness meetings. We provide staff, materials, food for the monthly meetings to benefit the employees. Monthly orientation meetings. We provide staff to assist new employees in their insurance enrollment. We provide a public relations liaison, Artisha, to work with staff and the department heads to increase participation for wellness events. We provide insurance booklets for employees for insurance covered offered by the city. Our biggest concern is without our oversight and our relations with the carriers, there is a significant risk of the city's exposures for continued payments and errors and non-payment issues. Over the past several years, we worked directly with 3 carriers, Aetna, Unum, and Solstice, to waive thousands of dollars to benefit the city. Our most significant role over the past 4 years is working directly with the insurance carriers to negotiate a fair renewal rate to minimize insurance costs to the city and its employees. We were extremely successful as we were able to negotiate renewal rates less than 5% every year since 2014. This allowed the city to save hundreds of thousands of dollars in healthcare insurance premiums for disability insurance, voluntary life insurance, dental, vision care, and health insurance. We received praise from city council members and staff over the past several years, specifically for the $4.99 increase achieved for the current fiscal year under a very difficult financial circumstance. We spent 3 solid weeks getting that rate down from 25% to 10% and $4.99 because we knew if it was over 5%, it would cost the employees money out of their pocket. And our biggest concern, my biggest concern, Bob Williams' biggest concern, is that we negotiated with the city to get that, with the city and with the carrier, which is Aetna, who represents the city, to get that rate down to $4.99. And that was one of my most important issues that we had since we've been doing your insurance for the last 4 years. Most other cities around, their rate increases have been approximately 8 to 12%, and we've kept everything under 5%. And we added, as we said earlier, Artisha as a public relations. She's worked closely with staff, employees to increase participation for monthly wellness and health care. We produced a health fair with 40 vendors and 130 employees. Our track record, and here's the numbers. In 2014, a rate increase was 0. The market trend was 10.56. In 2015, a rate increase was 4%, reduced from the final offer of 5%. The market trend was 11.5%. In 2016, the rate increase was 3.5%. We worked with Aetna to reduce the rate from 8% to 3.5%, and we kept the bariatric surgery, which we put in there at no extra cost for the city, and the market trend was 10%. In 2017, a rate increase of 3% to Aetna. They asked for 7, we got them down to 5, and then we got them down to 3, and the market trend was 10%. This year, which was the toughest year that we had, our rate increase, as I said earlier, was $4.99. The formula rate was 25%. That's where we started. Reduced to 10% because of the long-term relationship. And we negotiated the rate down to $4.99. And if everybody remembers on the council, we came in early because we saw the trend rising, and we were concerned about making sure that we locked that $4.99 into place. Due to the impact of the employees was one of the biggest achievements and was the toughest negotiation. Please note that all the rate increases included a 25%, $25,000 for wellness program initiatives. In the last 4 years, the bariatric has been included into the program. Experience in customer service. We have shown the experience and knowledge required for your insurance needs, as evidenced by our performance and attention to detail over the past 4 years. Exceptional customer service. We coordinate with city staff meetings, on-site representation. We have a history of improving benefits with little increase in costs. We created an in-house one-page enrollment summary of all benefits and provide English, Spanish, and Creole. Why is that important? Because every company requires an application for each company. We were able to maintain it on one piece of paper and made it simple for everybody to enroll. Our office can handle all claims issued by the employees and council members covered by the city's contract and their dependents. We work directly with the carriers to take the burden of the city and the city employees so they don't have that problem. We provide weekly on-site representation for direct access and interactions with city employees, including City Hall, Port Center, police, and the fire department. In our monthly wellness program, our relationship with the City of Riviera Beach is very important to us, especially with the monthly wellness programs, because the importance of the programs are, number 1, a health fair, 2, monthly wellness programs, 3, workforce competition, and we try to educate the employees in prevention. If you notice, we had a program on wellness and breast cancer. This is how we set it up. This is what we did to help the employees and to show them. And it's very important because breast cancer, as everybody is aware, every major sport, every major thing in the United States, that's one of their biggest, and they all wear pink, and we think that it's very important to take care of that for the women of this country and for the city. Wellness programs, employees' use of the gym. We had a lady by the name of Mandy who came into the gym, as you can see on the left side, and she was there working with the employees to help them so they know how to use the machines and use it appropriately so no one got hurt, and it benefited them in working out. And that was at our cost, not at the city's cost, that we have this nice lady come in and work with everybody. Why are we the firm that we have done for the last 4 years? We feel that we are experts in the field of employee benefits. We are thankful to have worked for you for the last 4 years, to serve you, the staff, and the 480-plus city employees. We have an extremely experienced team. We have bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the health market for the benefit of the city. We negotiate the best renewal rates possible for the benefit of the city employees. Our goal with our wellness program and our annual health care fair is to help your employees live better, eat better, learn to exercise properly, to be more healthy. A major goal of our wellness team was to increase employee participation. And the vision of the relationship with the city. There's a tremendous track record of minimizing rate increases over the past 4 years. Relationship with carriers for the benefit of the city employees and dependents. Our team of professionals play a valuable role in the relationships with the city and on our on-site responsibilities. We have the necessary experience and qualifications to do the job as represented from our experience over the past 4 years. In conclusion, I would like to leave you with this thought. We are thankful to have proven experience and qualifications, our history of community involvement, and a sincere desire to work with the City of Riviera Beach and their employees' benefit programs. On behalf of our team, Richard S. Bernstein Associates, our joint venture partner, we thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation to you. I hope I did it within 10 minutes. I tried to get it done. I was told that we had 10 minutes to make the presentation, so I didn't mean to rush, but I didn't want to go over my time limit in making the presentation to everybody. And I thank everybody for that opportunity.
Are there any questions from council? Mr. Mayor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Bernstein, for you. I'm still trying to understand what actually happened to you. You were our agent?
Yes, sir.
Help me understand. You were fired?
Well, Bob Williams, my CFO, received a letter firing our organization from the risk manager.
Who was? Marie Sellen?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
I didn't want to create a problem, so I was trying to be very careful in what I said to the council.
Well, I said it, but it's okay. Well, there's not a question. There's no question in my mind. Isn't any question in my mind. You've done an excellent job. I mean, I'm very grateful and very thankful you've gone beyond the call of duty. But I guess my question is to the city manager at this point, but stay there because it's in reference to you, or the city attorney. Did the risk manager have the authority to do this on her own without the city managers having the last word or signing on to it?
Madam Chair.
Madam Manager, you recognized.
The contract that we have had with Bernstein was a 2-year contract that the city entered into in 2014. That was a 2-year contract with 2 one-year extensions. The city Bernstein fulfilled its 2-year contract, and the city allowed Bernstein to act as the agent of record for the additional 2 years. After that, the contract ended. So September 30th, 2018, the contract ended, and during that time, the city issued an RFQ for agent of record services and had put together an evaluation team. The evaluation team met, evaluated the responses to the RFQ, and submitted their recommendations to the city council during the December 19th meeting for a different agent of record based on 2 types of scoring: evaluation based on a written proposal and evaluation based on oral interviews.
So the city council approved. I don't. Dr. Bertel is shaking her head like she doesn't know anything about that either.
No, I know everything about it. Yes, but I'm saying you said the city council approved. We didn't.
Right. I
No,
don't remember
the
that.
city council did not approve the contract. It failed for lack of a second.
Okay. Unfortunate that this has happened to you. I don't think it's right. I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Any questions?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Botel, you recognized.
Thank you. You talked about a list bill versus a self bill. Can you explain the difference and what impact it might have had on our insurance situation with regard to paying people who no longer work here?
Yes, ma'am. When you have a list bill, it comes directly from the insurance company to the city, and it lists everybody who's working. Now, if someone has left, it's up to whoever gets that bill to say that person is no longer employed. And if someone new is employed, it's up to the city to add that person. And for some reason, which I don't know because we don't see what's paid and what's not paid, they didn't follow the list bill. And in fact, about a couple months ago, we got a note from the saying that they didn't want a list bill. And we recommended a list bill for the simple reason that we know if you have a list bill, there's no misunderstanding as who's covered, who's not covered, who's entitled to the insurance, so that the city doesn't overpay and that employees that don't belong on the plan are not covered and the employees that belong on the plan are covered. And that's the advantage of a list bill, so there's no misunderstanding. No one can say, well, gee, we didn't cover such and such. Well, if you have a list bill, it's there, and that's up to you to correct it and make sure. And the way this came about, that this was found out when we came in for our renewal, and we were talking about the percentage of increases, we came in with 530 employees. They only had 480. So this came out in our meeting, and that's what started the whole thing. Now, what we don't know, I don't know, is how far this went back and how long this has been going on. But my concern is that the city was overpaying a lot of money that they shouldn't be overpaying. And my job is to make sure that you don't do that and you stay within the boundaries of the bill and you pay only what you're supposed to pay and not more than you're supposed to pay.
That answered your question? I have a question with regards to the language that's in the, well, I guess it speaks to the discussion and deliberation. Will I need to wait until item 7? Because there is a suggestion that if council is in agreement, all bids can be rejected and the start of the RFQ process can begin again. But the question that I have with regards to the sending of the letter of termination, was that a part of the procurement process in anticipation of having the board approve a new agreement, or would we have maintained or had gap services provided to us by the existing agent of record in order for us to get to the point where we either selected a new agent of record or had the solicitation out? And this is for purchasing and the attorney to answer for me, because it just seems to me typically when we have a contract that is at its expiration and we are looking to either solicit a new provider or we renew a contract or enter into a new agreement, there is that overflow of services. So I am wanting to know from purchasing and HR, how we got to the point of just the simple termination before we actually had someone in to provide and fulfill the services. So can anyone provide an answer to me on that?
Good evening, Council. Ricky Little, Interim Director of Procurement. The HR department was notified that the contract was lapsing for the agent of record, so at that point they decided that they would go back out for the solicitation, and that's how the process actually went.
So in going out for, so you just terminate, you're notified that the contract is ending, but how do we provide services until we get to selection from the solicitation? We just go without that service being provided to us or having an agent on record?
At this particular point, the agent of record services was not needed, so we didn't have to actually keep the agent of record on at that point.
Well, if the agent,
it wasn't in the cycle where they're actually going back out getting new quotes from the carriers, so it was already covered at that point.
Were they working on anything other than going out to get new costs from carriers for the City of Riviera Beach on behalf of Risk? Was there any other actions or work being done under the scope of services that would have continued. Because when we hear, or when I hear that they were working on the issue of identifying where the information lapsed in coverage was paid, that seemed to me to have been an ongoing service. So I'm just trying to be clear as to what exactly were the services that were still available to be provided under the scope of work, as opposed to just saying, okay, we're no longer in negotiations for healthcare services. What are the other services that were a part of the contract that was being performed?